Hello, Alex. This is Dimitris calling from Chicago and Metal Chaos. How are you?
All right, I'm very good, Dimitri. How are you?
I'm good. Ready for the tour, the upcoming tour?
Yeah, very ready. It's going to be very exciting. The first show is in 2 days.
Absolutely. But I didn't call you to discuss the tour. Well, at least
Okay.
not in the beginning, because we have Metal Allegiance being
Yes.
reactivated. So, what was the spark that reignited that fire?
Well, I think we've been talking about releasing new music for quite some time, but everybody's schedules didn't align.
Mm.
And then finally, we realized we had this song that we'd never had a singer for, and the stars aligned.
Mm.
Basically, it was Mark Mengy, the founder bass player, who had got the idea to bring in William Duvall from Alice in
Mhm.
Chains and sing on a song that we could release. And they had worked together on another project called King Ultra Mega. It's a tribute to Chris Cornell.
Mhm.
So they were already communicating, and that went really well, I guess. And then when Mark ran the idea of doing this new song by him, he said, he was open to it, said he'd check it out. And then next thing you know, he came back with this amazing vocal and amazing melody. And we have some new music finally.
So hold on, maybe I missed that. When did your phone ring saying, "Hey, we have a new singer. Do you want to get on board on this?"
Oh, gosh, I don't remember. It was probably, I think, well, we do an annual show
Yes.
in Southern California, in Anaheim, at the House of Blues. And the when we did the previous one, before the most recent one in 2026, this was early 2025, we met with the guys from RPM, the record label, and I think we had already started talking about the idea of this song,
Hmm.
and it was a possibility. But I think, yeah, it was sometime early in the year that my I got a message saying, he's in, he's working on the song, and it's gonna. I mean, yeah, I knew it would turn out great. I didn't know what to expect, but yeah, it just turned out amazingly.
So the song was not written now, right? It was something that you guys had from the past, right?
Um, the vocals weren't written.
Of course.
the The music was written,
Okay.
and we thought we might have to rearrange it.
Hmm.
Because very often what happens is you work with a singer and they come up with a part that becomes either a verse or a chorus, and then you have to repeat that a certain amount of times, rearrange the song. We didn't have to do any of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. He just made the vocal fit to what we had.
Uh-huh.
And there were even parts where he was able to do a similar vocal, even though the music was different.
So usually it's the other way around, right? The music is written to fit the singer, but in this time, it was the vocals were, let's say, adjusted to the music, right?
Well, it can go both ways.
Mm.
It just depends on the song. But usually, with us, it's almost always music first.
Mm.
But even when we have the music first, once we start working with a singer, there might be rearrangements
Okay.
to
Okay.
fit the singer. And in this case, we didn't have to rearrange anything. He just did what he did over the music, and it was amazing.
And did he also write the lyrics for this?
Yes,
So
yes,
did
the
you guys
music and
discuss the subject, or it was everything was
no,
William?
no, everything was William. He's one of those artists. There are a few like that where they can just take the song, go off into their own world, and come up with something beyond what any of us would have come up with. There are other songs where, the singer might prefer a guide and or a title or something, and that was the case with a lot of the other songs. But there are a few. Phil Williams, one of them, that can just run off and do his own thing. Floor Jensen from Nightwish, she's like that as well. She could take the music, come back with something we never would have thought of. That was the case on the Power Drunk Majesty track from the second album. Phil Anselmo, same thing on the Metal Allegiance debut, the song Dying Song. He took the song, came back with a title, melody, lyrics. But those, and William is like that. But those three are exceptions. Usually it's some sort of teamwork coming up with a vocal melody and everything else.
So
he didn't need any guidance.
As a songwriter, what does this experience give you in terms of using different singers? Do you feel more free to write whatever you have in mind?
I think so, yeah, absolutely. Like even before we knew William was going to be part of this, we wanted to experiment and have some musical parts that might not fit with some of the bands we're known for.
Right.
Like this song in particular, the verses, I just can't imagine it working with Testament. I mean, I'm sure it could, but it would be very different.
I mean, what would be the point if you had another, let's say, band or a project and create the same music? I mean, what will do for you? Nothing, right? You need that extra, let's say, outlet.
Well, this worked out perfect because, even though there's so much categorization in music and people, especially press and music industry types, they like to talk about different types of categories and genres and separation. There really isn't so much with the musicians. Even like in the 90s, a lot of the hard rock that was popular, it was considered very separate from heavy metal. Yet all those guys grew up on heavy metal. Dave Grohl later, proudly flew his metal flag and, was part of Lemmy's movie and Pick of Destiny. I mean, so many, so many other things. Even like Billy Joe from Green Day is now talking about what a big Van Halen fan he was, a big Ozzy fan. So all those guys, liked the music, and I always, appreciated what a lot of the '90s bands were doing as far as vocals, and I was kind of disappointed. Like solos seemed to disappear a little bit. I always
because we had the grunts right back then,
right?
So
and I that part of it I didn't really understand, but I thought the drumming got better. I thought the production it was more like '70s hard rock. I liked that. The songwriting was better. I liked that the lyrics were a little more serious and reflective. It was the chance to do a song that felt very 90s was fun. It was a fun challenge. But then we didn't have any vocalists in our circle that really fit. And then lo and behold, a few years later, we connect with William, who's part of one of the main bands from the 90s, and it just worked out perfectly.
In the beginning, you mentioned RPM. Do you see Metal Allegiance writing more music in the not so distant future? I mean, for an entire album.
I know the intention is there. As things turned out, I got super busy Testament has been on a roll,
Yeah.
and I also do my own instrumental music, which is very different, and that's more in the jazz world. So my schedule has gotten crazy, and then Mike Portnoy rejoined Dream Theater in the meantime. So his schedule is just crazy. So I know the intention is there, and we are talking about finally, making it happen at some point. But for now, it's just this new single is at least something we can do. But I know it does have us all excited at the idea of possibly working on new stuff.
So you mentioned Testament, you mentioned Alex Skolnick Trio. What, as a musician, as a guitarist, what Metal Allegiance gives to you?
Well, working on Metal Allegiance, it's very different.
Of course.
I get to be almost like an MD, musical director, along with the other guys. But there are moments, where I feel like, I can really help direct things. And also, being the foundational guitar on the records is fun, too. With Testament, Eric Peterson is the foundational guitar, as he should be. I mean, he's just a master timekeeper and riff guy, and he started the band as well. And so when you hear the riffs, even if it's riffs that I wrote, you're usually hearing him play them. I mean, most bands work that way too. With Metallica, you hear James Hetfield. With Anthrax, it's John from Anthrax does solos, and that's it. I might do a few rhythm parts in there, but here with Metal Allegiance, that sound, that foundational guitar is me. So
Okay.
you get to hear my full rhythm tone, and not just live, but in the studio as well. And that part of it's really fun.
So first of all, it seems like in Testament you have found, your sweet spot with Eric, right? And now with Metal Allegiance, there is another sweet spot for you, right?
Yeah, it's a different role.
Absolutely.
And it works out well for me because I'd rather not do that all the time, be the foundational riff person. That's a lot of work. And I appreciate it even more having done it on these Metal Allegiance records.
Yeah. So since we are in the Testament chapter, after decades in the band, what do you feel excites you? After all, you will be going on tour with them soon. So what is the thing that drives you, excites you with the Testament?
Well, I think it's fun that we're able to do new music that feels current, and it's exciting. Testament's never been a band where it feels like the music is phoned in, and to use that expression. And a lot of bands have that. There's just some albums that they'd rather forget. Testament doesn't really have that. I mean, they have a couple records where the sound is really different.
Yes.
They have an album from when I wasn't in the band called Demonic, where they were going for more of a death metal sound. But there's deep cuts on that album that are actually pretty interesting. And I'm not going to say which one, but we're actually doing one of those songs. And I wasn't familiar with it, but I like it. It's very, very different. We're also able to go back to these classic tunes, and they sound better than they did back in the day. We now have this great young drummer, Chris Dovis, who's not only influencing the original music, the new music, but he also just brings a whole new flavor to the tunes from way back when. And these last few tours, we've been bringing back songs that we haven't done in a long time. that maybe we should have played more often, but they're going over great. Like on the last tour, for example, we did Sins of Omission and Return to Serenity, and just people go crazy hearing those sounds, and they actually sound better than they did, not only because of the playing, but just the sound quality is better. I think there's a better understanding about how to present this music. The front of house mixing engineers are people who grew up on the music. They know how it's supposed to sound. The manufacturers of the equipment make better gear that sounds better. So it sounds better to us. It sounds better to the audience. So when we were doing this music the first time around, it was really it really felt like uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we only had a few bands before us. We had the Slayers and Megadeths and Metallicas, but it was still really hard to get a good sound doing this type of music, and to hear yourself and even those bands were sort of they were sort of paving the way, but it was a big challenge. And now, just having good sound quality makes a huge difference.
And it's amazing to hear you describing all these elements, because, as you said, some bands, especially some that have been around so long, they have found a certain way of doing things, even skipping writing new music altogether, because they have all this. So it's quite refreshing to hear that from you, I have to admit. So what about Alex Skolnick Trio? What are you working on there?
Well, we put out a new album that came out a few months ago, and it's called Prove You're Not a Robot.
Great title.
Thank you. And it came out right around the same time as Testament. And I did a tour of Europe before the album came out, just because scheduling-wise, I knew once the Testament record was out, we were going to have a full calendar, which we do. But we did some touring in the U.S. earlier this year and late last year. And we do have a few odd one-off gigs here and there. But I'm already starting to think about the next music, next instrumental music that I'll be working on.
So do you think we will ever see Alex Skolnick Trio and Metal Allegiance open up for Testament?
That would be fun. That would be fun for me. It would be exhausting.
For fun, you said, for you? Playing for 3 sets?
Yeah, no, actually, the more I think about it, I like the idea of it, but the more I think about it, I'm not sure.
You can do it only a couple of times, I guess, not for a full tour. That will be...
Yeah, it would be a little bit much. And also, they're very different frames of mind.
Of course, yes.
So, yeah,
but
of
at
those.
Least, you can start from the jazzy stuff, improvisation, a little bit more relaxed, and then get to Metal Allegiance.
Never say never.
Absolutely. Alex, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. We will see you live on stage. We will see you in Chicago.
Okay, sounds good.
Absolutely.
See you in a few weeks. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.